Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian Stack, and as President of the Ireland US Consulate, it's a great pleasure to welcome each and every one of you here today in the special annual St. Patrick's Day lunch. This, of course, is a festive time as we celebrate one of the most important days on our calendar in this great city of New York. I am delighted that so many council members and distinguished guests could join us here. I've often thought that as St. Patrick's Day comes near the end of winter, it is in some way also a rite of spring. So it looks as if we can scratch another New York winter from the books. I think we're always glad to see St. Patrick's Day is upon us. We want you to enjoy this festive occasion. So we have a splendid entertainment program from the Royal Irish Academy of Music, which Deborah Kelleher, the director of the Academy, has lined up for us. We'll be hearing from her a little later on. But let's give her a big welcome all the way from Dublin. We also have a great gift bag for you, which you can get as you leave, with all sorts of goodies in there. As usual, our plan today is to keep the podium proceedings to a minimum. Right now, I'd like to take a couple of minutes before your lunch to mention a few items. As always, we are delighted to welcome Ireland's Consul General here in New York. She is a great friend of this council and a great friend to many of you here in the room. Say a big hello to the great Barbara Jones. We will hear from Barbara later in the program. Tomorrow, as we celebrate the 255th annual St. Patrick's Day parade in the city, today we are honored to have the chairman of the St. Patrick's Day parade with us. The great Dr. John Leahy is with us. Plus, we have the chairman of committee that looks after all the logistics of managing the parade, and we're pleased to wish him every success for tomorrow's march up Fifth Avenue. It is a pleasure to welcome John Tully to the lunch today. I must tell you that we in the Ireland US Consulate are proud of our annual Student Work Experience program. This will be the 33rd year in which we have operated this program, and we're grateful for the cooperation of Fordham University in participating with us. We thank Council member Dr. John Consul, Dean of Students at Fordham University, who is here today. A big thank you, Dr. John. We just had our 2016 winter meeting in Palm Beach, Florida. This was a huge effort on all our part to leave New York City and head down to Palm Beach. But some of us made this great sacrifice and went down there on behalf of the council. But every year, council member Bill Mahoney from Fort Lauderdale lets us party as his guests on his wonderful yacht, The Bottom Line. And this year was no exception. Bill is here today with his co-host, Carla Nichol. A big thank you, Bill and Carla. He hates us mentioning his name, but he's such a great supporter, we had to give him the honorable shout out. A big thank you for all he does for this council. John Nayland of the 21st Century Fox is here. We'd also like to welcome our great friend, Tom Moran of Mutual of America. Prudential Financial is a great supporter of our council, and our council board member, Barbara Custer, has sent along many of our colleagues here today, and they are most welcome, all of you, from Prudential Financial. Delighted to have you here today. Since the founding of this Ireland US Consul in 1963, we've always had a wonderful relationship with Aer Lingus. we'd like to thank Jack Foley and all his colleagues at Aer Lingus for their great support. I was hoping that my predecessor as president of this council, Dennis Swanson, would be here by the time I got to this bit, but I don't think he's here yet, but we really do appreciate everything Dennis has done for the council, and I look forward to seeing him when he does arrive later. But our council treasurer, Kieran Claffey of PwC, is here today, and he's a great supporter, and we want to give him a big warm Irish welcome today. And finally, in case you think I was going to go on all afternoon, finally, our congratulations to a great friend of this council over many years, the great Jack Hare of fame in the world of publishing, and has just been appointed the Chief Executive of Concerned Worldwide, one of the great charities. We want to wish Jack the best of luck in his new role, and we've had a great association with Concern for so many years, and we all, many of us have been so involved, and Tom Moran, of course, has been involved with Concern for so many years, so it's great to talk about Concern here today. Now it's my distinct honour to ask Andrew Murphy, who is the Chief Commercial Officer of the Shannon Group, who have been a great supporter of this council over many years, to introduce our next speaker. Pretty to see you. Thanks, Brian. Wow, we need to pull up these microphones a bit.
Thanks, Brian. Consul General, Chairman, board members, ladies and gentlemen, it's a real honour to be here to represent Shannon Group. Sponsorship doesn't always give you the right to disturb people's lunch, so I've been given about 2 minutes to give you a whistle-stop tour of what Shannon Group is all about. I suppose at its core, it's Shannon Airport, welcoming about 1.7 million passengers a year. Shannon Heritage, it's a visitor attraction business, welcoming about 750,000 visitors a year. And we have a commercial properties business, predominantly based around Shannon, but it's spread across Munster, and it's the largest commercial property business in Ireland, or in Munster. So I suppose what did I want to get, what message did I want to get across to you guys here today in the 2 minutes I was allocated, and it's very simple. I'd like you to think about Ireland a little bit differently. You're all very influential Irish and Irish American people, and I'd like you not to think about that, just that city beginning with D on the East Coast. Apologies, Jack. I'm going to be a bit selfish here and not talk about Aer Lingus too much, but what's very important for the Irish economy, which is growing very well, is that we have balanced regional development. We're seeing a lot of growth in Dublin, and we're catching up in the regions, but it's very important as influencers of how investment and business gets done and travel gets done into Ireland, that you guys think about the West Coast, the lower cost base, potentially the friendlier welcome, and I'd ask you if you have any influence over people in making any decisions around investment. Come and talk to the IDA about the West Coast. We're in the middle of a large planning permission for our property portfolio that will see us add 50,000 square feet of new offices, advanced manufacturing facilities. So we've an awful lot going on the West Coast that we're very proud of. There's been an awful lot of success already. The IDA have had some great wins. Johnson & Johnson are expanding their business. They're adding 200 or 300 new jobs. Uber have just announced 300 jobs in Limerick. So the region is on the up. And my key message to you today is to remember the region, to support it, and try and drive some business through there. And with your help, we can achieve some better regional balanced development. As Brian said, my main job is to introduce the Consul General. I see she's still eating, so I might take another minute, Barbara, if you want. She's shaking her head, okay. I could have added to the 2-minute infomercial there, no problem. It's a great pleasure to introduce Barbara. She is a Wexford woman, a graduate of UCD. Prior to her appointment here as Consul General in New York in 2014, she had assignments with the Consul General in San Francisco, the Embassy in Luxembourg, and she was Deputy Head of Mission for the Embassy of Ireland in London, dealing a lot with political relations and Northern Ireland peace process. So it is a high honour, it's a real pleasure to introduce the Consul General, Barbara Jones. Thank you.
So thank you very much, everybody. Happy St. Patrick's Day. As we say in Irish, Dóchas lins neve páric. Let St. Patrick give us hope. There's a lot to be hopeful about this St. Patrick's Day. I think in the theme of aviation, which has been described so beautifully, the advantages of Shannon, and Brian mentioning our great friendship with Aer Lingus, who are just, I have to say, the most treasured partner for the Consulate. When we have a tough case, somebody getting into trouble, we ring Jack, and Jack sorts it. And you know what? During the Berkeley tragedy, which really brought our community together last year, you saw what it really meant to have a national airline who flew the Shamrock and flew our values so brilliantly. So can we give them a big round of applause for their leadership? Because I suppose it is all about leadership for Ireland, and the Irish people have come through a really difficult time. The social damage of the crash has been very difficult in Ireland. It's playing itself out in the politics of the general election. And the great news is that around the repair of the damage is a great opportunity for all of us in the room. As you were saying, Shannon, what an opportunity to be part of the Shannon story right now. The economy is flying, to use an aviation term. We're at 7.8% last year in terms of growth. Unemployment is down to just over 8.5%, which, as you know, we get to 4 in Ireland. We're at full employment. And what we're seeing is exports are driving jobs growth. And that is where the work of this wonderful council and the friendships and the leadership you give are central. Because trade through and because of imports and exports and investment by US companies in Ireland, 3,300 US companies in Ireland, and hundreds of Irish startups making their impact here in the United States. It's a win-win relationship. The Ireland-US business relationship is the example of win-win globalization. As we have heard from Shannon, it's going to be good for you if you invest in Shannon, and it's going to be good for Shannon. And that's a great opportunity of the friendship and the partnership that we now see in Ireland. So Ireland, the country's flying. There's an amazing opportunity in Ireland. Speak to Shannon about it, speak to the IDA about it, and above all, speak to Tourism Ireland and the aircraft carriers who are bringing these millions of tourists to Ireland, building up the friendship. It's 2016, and as Brian said, we have our historic 255th St. Patrick's Day with John Tully and John Leahy providing great leadership to allow for that parade to happen, because it wasn't obvious earlier in the fall that that would happen. And I want to salute them both for their leadership. We found an agreement about a way forward in our community about rights and responsibilities, and we're going to have a great parade. And it's very fitting. And it's so fitting, don't you think, that as we think of 100 years ago when Padraig Pearse stood under the GPO with the tricolour flag, the green, white and orange, he read out the proclamation of a republic that promised equality of opportunity, happiness, peace to all its citizens, which spoke of cherishing all of the children of the nation equally, which is the first feminist document in contemporary constitutional politics because it addresses itself to Irish men and to Irish women. It promises women the vote. It repeatedly, because Connolly was a great feminist, looks to the idea of an inclusive Ireland. And in the middle of it, we all know that cherishing the children of the nation equally part, those of us who had the benefit of a glorious education in Ireland. But what we don't read on is, it then goes on to say that this republic is going to be a republic which will be oblivious of the differences which have been carefully fostered by colonisation. And imagine that to be me today or tomorrow marching in the 255th St. Patrick's Day Parade, which is inclusive, representing a country which still has to fulfil the promise of that proclamation about the idea of we can have peace in Ireland, the green and the orange living together, and a society which would be oblivious to difference. Prosperity is driven by inclusive societies. Peace is good, necessary for prosperity, and prosperity is necessary for peace. I am so proud to wish you all happy St. Patrick's Day. Please support the parade. Please support the Ireland-US Council. Think of the opportunity that is in Ireland and think of Shannon. Thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Isn't it wonderful to be in this magnificent room, in this magnificent building? This was built by J.P. Morgan, and he started construction in 1895. Look at this. It's fantastic. It's like something in Ireland. It's like a castle, right? Now, J.P. Morgan built this place because they discriminated against him joining the other clubs, against him and his friends. So he said, screw you, I'll build my own place, right? And we had all these beautiful clubs up and down here at the turn of the century. Now, the Irish, they were never excluded. We could sweep the streets in front of all of these clubs. Now, today, we have, at your plate, there was a token. This token will entitle you to a gift bag, which you're going to receive outside when you leave. In the gift bag are Tommy Maloney's breakfast meats. And I want to thank the chairman of that company, Bill Colbert. Bill, where's Bill? I want to say hello to Bill. Thank you, Bill. Now, don't take that bag home and throw it in the bottom of the closet until Christmas, because it's not a good idea. I also want to thank and welcome a great supporter of this council, Eddie Dowling. The Padded Wagon is one of the great moving companies. Eddie Dowling. Where's Eddie? Where are you, Eddie? And you know, when I look around the room and at cocktails, I've been involved for decades in this organization, and just a few, so many great faces here, just to see a few of them and take the risk of mentioning a few of them who were such great supporters of this council, and then I'll lump them all together, and then you can give them a big hand. Bob Golden, Ed Kenny, Jim Houlihan, and John Mahan. Thank you very much. We have the Ireland U.S. Council's attorney with us, Jim Adrian, right over here. Jim. We have the chairman of the Irish Repertory Theatre, Ellen McCourt, right here. Ellen, big welcome to you. And we have from the Knights of St. Patrick. Now, the Knights of St. Patrick, they're an organization, and what they care about is keeping the parade on Fifth Avenue and making sure the parade's on television. So they're members, that's what their thing is. They don't care about anything else. You could have an Italian Grand Marshal and they would still support you. So let's welcome Eugene and Sheila McCarthy from the Knights of St. Patrick. And this guy's back again. The great Patty McCarthy's back with USA, Irish Examiner, USA.com. We'll be back later to introduce the other half of the room. Later. Now, all the way from Dublin, we have two outstanding young students from the renowned Royal Irish Academy of Music. And when you hear their version of Danny Boy, I know we have lots of friends that'll, we think sadly about those we've lost, but I'm thinking about the Consul and Joe Walsh, John Fitzsimons, Connie Dool, and all of my great friends. So you'll remember yours, but let's remember them this St. Patrick's Day. They were always with us, always with us. So to tell you more about the Royal Irish Academy of Music, please welcome Deborah Kelleher from Dublin. Deborah.
Thanks a million, Mike, and I'm really pleased to be here. Thank you so much, Brian, and it was wonderful to hear Consul General Jones speaking so fantastically about Ireland. We're visitors here, so it's incredible that this wonderful city in this land of opportunity allows us to dream and offers us the possibility of these dreams to be realised. The two young gifted musicians that you hear and see today, Sean Boylan and Sara Brady, and I'm going to ask them to come up here so you can have a good look at them. They're visiting New York for the first time ever, so this is a dream that's been realised already. But it also shows that this band of loyalty between our nations, this circle of friendship, continues right up to this minute. Sara Brady comes from Mullingar in County Westmeath, and she's going to perform shortly a song that was written to the music and poetry of Padraig Pearse. It's called The Mother, and it's a poem that Pearse wrote on the eve of the 1916 Rising for his mother and for all mothers. And it really resonates with the sacrifice of a mother, but also in Pearse's view, the glory of that sacrifice. So high octane was this song that it was banned by the BBC in the 1970s through the height of the Troubles. And you're going to hear some words that I think are pretty powerful. Sean Boylan comes from Dunboyne in County Meath, and Sean is going to sing Gort na Mona, which is a wonderful song from County Offaly by Percy French. And they will finish, I think, with a song that we all really know really so well. So, the Royal Irish Academy of Music, we're the custodians of the tradition of the songs of Ireland. And as I look at this distinguished group of people of Irish descent and from Ireland, I realise how important that job is to us in the Academy. Because many years ago, tens of thousands of immigrants had to leave the country of Ireland in order to make new lives for themselves. And often they left with very meagre possessions, but what they clasped in their hearts were the songs and the music of Ireland. And they clasped them tightly, because often in those days of famine and of loss, these were the songs, when they built the new lives, that gave them the hope and gave them something to cling on to. So our role as the custodians of the songs and music of those people, we take very seriously in the Academy, and we call them to life through the performances that you're going to shortly hear. But the Royal Irish Academy of Music isn't just about preserving the past, important though that is. We are the leaders in music education in Ireland. We teach kids from the age of 4 up. We have taught over 1 million students on our programmes since our foundation in 1848, and believe me, we're just as excited about the next million and about welcoming them. Sean and Sara and myself are going to be back next month for Drums and Guns. This is our Juilliard project. It's amazing that we can stand shoulder to shoulder with one of the strongest conservatoires in the world, but that's what's magical about the arts in Ireland. Did you hear Ben Cleary talking about in his Oscar acceptance speech that it was a great day to be Irish? Well, I would say it's a great day to be Irish every day, especially when you work in the arts. Because all of us in this room of Irish descent and born in Ireland are actually artists in our hearts and our DNA, thankfully, because of that wonderful, rich history that we had. So I said that Sean and Sara were fulfilling a dream today, but we also have a dream in the Royal Irish Academy of Music. Our dream is to develop a $20 million capital campaign for our premises, because these guys and the kids that come after them deserve a wonderful premises. So our architects have looked at our Georgian building in Dublin, and behind that wonderful facade, we're going to have a bespoke library, we're going to have a new recital hall, we're going to have meeting spaces for the kids, double our teaching rooms. So we're also dreaming pretty big in the Academy. And it's actually thanks to the untiring support of Brian Stack, of David O'Sullivan and of Roddy Feely in the Ireland US Council that we now have a foundation, or I Am Foundation Inc. So we really hope to grow our family of support in the US. In that spirit, I issue an invitation to you all. When you're over in Ireland, come and visit us. Come into our building, meet the kids, hear them play their music, because they make a great case for the state of music education in Ireland. 100 years ago, poets and visionaries like Padraig Pearse dreamed big. And they fought for Irish independence and they succeeded. And as I said, very often it was the songs and music of our Ireland that kept them with their hearts beating through the times of the greatest sacrifice. So, in the Academy, we're conscious not just of our future and our dreams for our children and ourselves, but we're also conscious that we're honouring those generations that emigrated and sacrificed themselves for our nation, and that we will take our responsibility and call them to mind whenever we perform the songs of our nation. So now I think I'm going to let our music speak for itself. Thank you.
I do not grudge them, Lord, I do not grudge my two strong songs that I have sing out to break the strength and die. They and a few in bloody protest for a glorious theme. They shall be spoken of among their people, and generations shall remember them and call them blessed. But I will speak their names in my own heart, in the long nights, the little names that were familiar once round my dead heart. Lord,
blackbird singing round the blackthorn tree. But oh, it was my heart that was ringing, ringing, ringing with the joy that you were bringing, oh my love, to me. Long, long ago in the woods of Ramona, I thought I heard the sighing round the blackthorn tree. But oh, it was the banshee that was crying, 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 and I knew that my love dying far across the sea. Now if you go to the woods of Ramona, you hear the tears and crying round the blackthorn tree. But oh, it was my heart that was weeping, weeping, weeping. For my love lived forever long away from me. Long, long ago in the woods of Ramona, I thought the birds were singing round the blackthorn tree. But oh, it was my heart that was ringing, ringing, ringing with the joy that you were bringing, oh my love, to me.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the flowers falling. 'Tis you must go and I must bide. But come me back when summer's on the meadow, and when the valley's hushed and white with snow. 'Tis I'll be here when sun shines on the meadow. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so.
Someday maybe, when all the flowers are dying, and I am dead, as dead I well may be, you'll come and find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say an Ave there for me, and you shall bend and tell me that you love me, and oh, my grave will warmer, sweeter be, and you will bear until you come to
Thank you very much. Isn't it wonderful to see that the future of music in Ireland is in such great hands? We want to thank Debbie, Kelleher, and all of the people from the Royal Irish Academy, and particularly the performers here today. They're so wonderful, such talent. It's just so wonderful to see that. Just one last thing before we say goodbye, and thank you for being here, is that the Ireland US Consul is always interested in welcoming new members. If you know somebody who you feel would qualify for membership at the Ireland US Consul, I'd just like you to talk to Peter Hooper, who is the chairman of our membership committee. But I think it's worth remembering that the new members are always welcome. Thank you very much for being here today. We look forward tremendously to seeing you at this event next year. Thank you very much again.